The recycling bay on Deck 7 always stank of rust and rot. Water sloshed underfoot, pooling around corroded pipes, the walls coated in grime like the inside of an old oil drum. This was where forgotten things were dumped, machines, scrap, and people who didn't matter. Jonas Kane was one of those people. Officially, he was a technical sanitation engineer. Unofficially, he washed things. Dirty engines, broken drones, crates no one else wanted to touch. When Fleet Command told him to report to Bay 7 for a biocleanse assignment, he figured it was another corpse retrieval. He didn't expect a living girl in the tub. She sat motionless, submerged in brackish liquid that reeked of synthetic blood and coolant. Long strands of hair, matted with black sludge, floated around her like seaweed. Her skin, though obscured by grime, shimmered faintly, purple, iridescent, like the scales of a deep-sea creature. Jonas blinked. What the hell? She's an Axeron hybrid, said Commander Tull, tossing him a worn set of gloves. Half-human, bred in a lab, supposedly for infiltration missions. But this one didn't take. Got caught trying to escape during transport. Jonas looked at the girl again. She didn't flinch or respond. Her arms were cuffed, thin wrists bruised, and slick with gunk. You want me to clean her? Scrub her? Decontaminate? She's off to biodisposal tomorrow. Orders from the top. Biodisposal. A fancy word for euthanasia. Jonas had seen plenty of messed up things in his 6 years aboard the dreadnought Horizon's End. But something about this felt off. She's conscious. So. Tull snorted. She's property. They say she's half AI, probably doesn't even feel pain. Jonas said nothing. When Tull left, slamming the bulkhead behind him, the silence returned, heavy and humid. The girl's eyes opened slowly, glowing faintly blue in the dim light. They locked onto his. Then, barely a whisper, "Please don't let them take me." He froze. "I thought you didn't feel pain." "I feel everything," she whispered. Jonas couldn't stop thinking about that voice. Delicate. Human. He dragged a stool closer to the tub and sat, dipping a cloth into warm water from the sterilizer. He reached for her arm, but hesitated. "My name's Jonas," he said. She didn't answer. He gently took her wrist and began wiping away the filth. Layer by layer, her skin began to glow, soft violet hues like starlight on ice. Beneath the grime were faint tracer lines, biotech, embedded in her veins, pulsing in rhythm with her breath. "What's your name?" he asked. She flinched when he touched a wound on her shoulder. "I don't have one," she said. "No, come on. Everyone's got a name." "They called me Subject 7B. "That's not a name. That's a number." He paused, then added, "How about Mira?" She looked at him again. This time, a flicker of something crossed her face. "Mira," she repeated. "What does it mean?" "Means wonder in some old Earth language. Thought it suited you." Her lips quirked, almost a smile. And Jonas felt something shift inside him. Over the next hours, he worked slowly. He peeled away layers of grime and shame. Mira stayed quiet, but her body trembled when he touched her back. The scars there weren't from dirt, they were from branding. Burn numbers. Serial codes. "You've been through hell. They made us obedient." "Perfect." "I ran anyway." "Why?" "I saw a child cry. And I cried too. That wasn't in the programming." Jonas swallowed hard. "You felt something." "They said I was broken." He rinsed her hair gently, letting the dark strands fall like silk over her shoulders. Underneath, she looked human. Mostly. But it wasn't her shape or skin that made him forget the hours. It was her eyes. She watched him with a softness he hadn't seen in years. Later, he brought her food, synthetic protein paste, and clean water.
Eat, he said.
You could report me for speaking. I won't. You could lose your post. I already lost everything that mattered. I'm just a janitor now. You see me, she said quietly. You see more than what they made. Jonas didn't respond. He just handed her a clean towel. That night, he stayed in the bay long after his shift ended, sitting near her. The hum of the ship's engines pulsed like a heartbeat. I dreamed once, she said, breaking the silence, that I was walking in the rain on a blue planet. No walls, no chains, just the sound of water and trees. Earth. I don't know, but I think it was real. A memory, maybe, from my human half. Jonas leaned back. I grew up near a river. We had real trees. My sister used to throw stones just to see how many skips she could get. Mira smiled, eyes closed. That's what I want.
Just one moment like that.
Morning came too soon. Tull returned with 2 guards, their boots echoing ominously on the metal floor. Time to move the hybrid. Jonas stood, placing himself between Mira and the soldiers. She's not dangerous, he said. She's not what you think. Tull raised a brow. Don't get soft, Kane. You're here to clean up trash, not grow a conscience. She's not trash. She's a person. A person.
Tull laughed.
She was grown in a vat. Her brain's half wires. Jonas clenched his fists. She cried. She remembers rain. That's more human than you. Tull's smile faded. Step aside. That's an order. Mira stood behind Jonas, trembling, her cuffs still on. Jonas turned to her. Do you trust me? She nodded. Then, without warning, he grabbed one of the sterilization pipes and swung it into the face of the nearest guard. Alarms flared. Tull shouted, drawing his pistol. Run! Jonas yelled, shoving Mira toward the side hatch. She moved like lightning, surprising even him. Her bare feet splashed through the water as she darted into the maintenance corridor. Jonas followed, the sound of gunfire ringing behind them. They ran for what felt like hours through ducts, fuel tunnels, and crawl spaces. Myra's glowing skin lit the path when the lights failed. Jonas bled from a graze across his arm, but he didn't stop. Finally, they reached the old shuttle bay, one of the decommissioned hangars used only for scrap storage. Jonas tore open a panel and began hot-wiring the oldest scout pod he could find. This thing will barely get us to the rings of Eridani, he muttered. Mira looked at him, eyes wide. You're risking everything. He looked up. So are you. The engine stuttered to life. Then Mira did something unexpected. She reached out and pressed her forehead to his. It was a gesture he didn't understand, but it felt sacred. Thank you, she whispered. Let's go, he said. The pod shot from the hangar just as klaxons blared through the ship. Cannons fired too late. They vanished into the black. 6 months later, somewhere on the edge of colonized space, the sky was violet with streaks of orange. Jonas sat on the porch of their small off-grid cabin, watching Mira walk barefoot through tall grass. Her hair caught the sunlight, glowing silver blue. Her laugh echoed like wind chimes. They'd made it. Faked IDs, changed ships, vanished into the forgotten moons. And Mira had started dreaming again. But this time, the dreams weren't just memories. They were plans, hopes, a future. Jonas watched her twirl in the field, arms raised to the sky, and smiled. They told him to clean her. They never expected him to fall in love. But as she turned back to him, her glowing skin bathed in the light of 2 suns, Jonas knew one thing with absolute certainty. He would choose her again. Every time.